Natasha and the Ballast Cars. Natasha, the Great Western Engine, enjoyed her new job on the island of Sodor. She was feeling bright and cheerful. She had a lovely day, and she was pulling her last train for the day. As she arrived at the station by the beach, Algie pulled up. "Hello, you must be Natasha. Duck told me all about you. I'm Algie, by the way."
"Nice to meet you," said Natasha politely. "It's been a fine day, hasn't it?"
"It sure has, Natasha," replied Algie. As the passengers got into Algie, the conductor blew his whistle and waved his green flag.
"Oh, sorry. I have to go now, Algie," said Natasha. "Since I'm new here, it was nice meeting you. Goodbye."
And she made her way along the branch line. That night in the sheds, Natasha already knew Duck and was introduced to Oliver and the Scottish twins. "We like having new engines here," said Donald. "Especially since we have new friends like you, lass," added Douglas. "And the two Great Western engines have now become three," put in Oliver.
"Aw, you're all so kind," said Natasha kindly.
And she told the other engines she and Duck had never seen each other in years since Duck left the Great Western Railway to work on Sir Topham Hatt's railway as a pilot tank engine, since Thomas Percy and Markland, known as Puffa, left the big station. And then he was transferred to work on his branch line after Douglas saved Oliver, Isabel, and Toad from scrap. The other engines felt sorry when Natasha had finished, but were soon glad she and Duck were with each other again, and fell happily to sleep. The next morning, Sir Topham Hatt came to see the engines. "There are more holidaymakers than ever, and your branch line needs more trains." He then turned his attention to Natasha. "Donald and Douglas could use your help with their ballast trains."
"Ballast trains?" puzzled Natasha. "What are they, sir?"
"They're called ballast cars," replied Duck, and he explained that any small engine will bring them to the top of the chute to pour the ballast down into the cars, so any other engine could take them away. "Quite right," said Sir Topham Hatt when Duck had finished. "Now, you must take the ballast cars from the chute, Natasha. Donald and Douglas will be happy having you to help." And they were, and winked at Natasha. Then the other engines set to work at once. As Natasha was puffing to the ballast chute, she saw a small railway she'd never noticed before. And there, working on the railway, were very small tender engines that had under shape like Gordon.
"Bust my buffers!" cried Natasha. "Is it me, or did these engines shrink?"
Rex, the green engine, laughed at Natasha's remark.
"Oh, don't worry. We're not the big engines you think we are."
"Oh, I'm Natasha," the Pioneer tank engine said, rather surprised.
"I'm Rex. The red engine is Mike, and the blue engine is Bert. And this is what they call the small railway."
Well, I'm here to collect some ballast," replied Natasha.
Mike pushed the ballast cars onto the chute and waited for Natasha to pull the freight cars under there. Natasha tried to go under the chute, but the cars' chance had come. "Hold back! Hold back!" they laughed.
"Stop it, you lot!" shouted Natasha. "Come on! Important ballast to collect."
"All right, if you insist," giggled the cars, as they let go, and Natasha ran through the chute much too fast. So fast that ballast spilled all over the track, none landing in any of the cars.
"Oops!" laughed the cars.
You silly big engine, shouted Mike. Look what you've done. Now I have to go get some more ballast.
And you silly cars are going to make me late, shouted Natasha.
When Mike returned with more ballast and the cars were finally loaded, Natasha set off for the ballast. But by the time the ballast was delivered, it was very late indeed. The manager looked very serious. These cars need to be the sensible train, he told Natasha. You will be pulling them until you learn to control them. Natasha felt sadder still in the sheds that night. I'm sorry, Natasha, said Duck. I should have warned you that the cars are the worst.
It's not your fault, Duck, said Natasha. It's mine. I should have known better than to have trouble with some ballast cars.
I know just how you feel, Natasha, said Oliver, and he told her about the time the cars tricked him and fell into the turntable well.
Oh my, exclaimed Natasha. I guess we both got into a little accident with the cars. If only there was a way to give them a good lesson.
Then Duck planned something about the cars for Natasha. When he had finished, Natasha was excited and went to sleep at once, although she felt nervous all the same. The next morning, as Natasha approached the yard, the freight car saw her. Oh, look! It's the engine who doesn't know how to control us! One car laughed. Natasha felt a little anxious, but she simply ignored them. She knew just what to do. Natasha spent all morning marshaling the worst cars together. Soon, Natasha had a very long train. She was coupled up to the train and pulled the train with all her might. The cars had their brakes on, but Natasha didn't know. She pulled the cars as hard as she could. Suddenly, the cars' brakes had snapped, and Natasha had the train going. She didn't know what had happened to the cars, so she forged ahead. Ow! The naughty cars groaned. Stop it! You're hurting us!
Good, said Natasha. Maybe that will teach you not to mess with the engines.
Natasha arrived in fine style at the small railway. At once all the cars were loaded. Natasha puffed away to deliver the ballast. When Natasha had reached the line repairs, the manager looked at the cars and saw that their brakes had snapped. Then he turned to Natasha. Those cars' brakes are broken, the manager said. Natasha looked abashed. However, the manager went on, you taught those cars a valuable lesson. You, Natasha, are a really useful engine.
Oh, thank you, sir, said Natasha.
The cars groaned in fear. By the end of the afternoon, Natasha returned to the junction. I'm sorry about yesterday, Natasha, apologized Mike. I guess I got a little fury about the ballast being spilled everywhere. I'm glad you taught the cars a lesson I heard about today.
That's all right, Mike, said Natasha. I'm sorry, too, about them. I hardly pulled the ballast car smoothly. But from now on, I will ride after you or Bert or Rex bring your cars onto your chute.
Thank you, Natasha, said Mike politely. And don't worry, I'm sure the cars will learn their senses someday. Natasha humbly agreed and puffed back to the shed to get some rest. And Mike turned in for the night in the shed too.